Another big change that comes about as a consequence of the Norman Conquest is a change in attitudes. We tend to think of the Normans in England as a bad thing. You know, we are the English and therefore we're good, and they are the Normans and therefore they're bad. And that's the way they were written up at the time by a lot of English people. They were described as the scourge of God, smiting the English for their sins. But in some respects, the Normans made things better for English people, particularly English people at the very bottom of the pile. It's a fact that's not commonly appreciated, but as much as 30% of the population in pre-conquest England were slaves. And that's slaves in the sense of human chattels. They could be branded, beaten, mutilated or killed by their masters. Now the Normans had once treated people like that themselves, but in the generations before 1066 they had done away with slavery. And after the conquest we see them doing away with it in England. Where you can measure it in Domesday Book, there is a 25% drop in the number of slaves. We know that William the Conqueror abolished the slave trade that operated out of Bristol, and by the time you get to the early 12th century you find English chroniclers commenting that in this respect, in abolishing slavery and the slave trade, the Normans treated the English better than the English had treated themselves. Another new attitude that the Normans introduced is chivalry. Now chivalry in the 11th century has nothing to do with later perversions like laying your cloak in a puddle for a lady. What chivalry means in the 11th century is essentially not killing your opponents when you have them at your mercy. Now this is a new attitude in the 11th century. The Vikings certainly hadn't done it. The Vikings, if they caught you, lobbed your head off. And the English hadn't done it. The English, prior to 1066, practiced political killing as a matter of course. Again, the Normans had moved on from that. The Normans were very bloody in their warfare, but if you surrendered to William the Conqueror, like as not he would spare your life and even let you go free. So the Normans imprisoned people, they ransomed them, they kept hostages, but they didn't do political killing. So in that sense, the Norman Conquest represents a move in the direction of what we might consider civilization. And for the next 2.5 centuries, that taboo is maintained. Right from 1066, right down to the beginning of the 14th century, no earl, no man of political consequence in England is deliberately killed.